Dying for Pie, one of my favorite Spongebob episodes ever. It's a great story, really funny jokes, and some hilarious animation. This is the episode where, on the order of Mr. Krabs, Squidward has to buy Spongebob a gift. The gift he buys is a delicious pie, which turns out to be a bomb. Spongebob unknowingly eats it, and drowning in guilt, Squidward vows to make the last hours of Spongebob's life the best he's ever had. The episode was known as Biscuits during production, even being found on the storyboard of the episode. As to why it was called that, your guess is as good as mine. This episode was notably storyboarded by Carl Greenblatt, aka C.H. Greenblatt. If you like Chowder, then that name should be familiar to you, as he is the creator of Chowder. This episode first aired on January 27th, 2001, and serves as the first part of the 4th episode in Sponge's 2nd season. Overall, it is episode 24A. I love this opening shot of Squid. I wish I could be there right now. It may not be too obvious, but a lot of SpongeBob takes place near or under the ocean, and the particular colors they use for it always look so good. I particularly like this shade of green that they used for the ocean here. Just such a nice color to look at, and it really makes it feel like I'm in the Pacific Ocean as opposed to somewhere else. You don't find colors like that where I'm from. Obviously, something this beautiful could only appear in a dream, and Squidward is promptly interrupted by this really weird looking alarm clock. The way it's drawn is just so jagged and strange, unlike how it appears in other episodes. Hang on, I don't remember Squid driving into work in this episode. In fact, I don't think I can recall ever seeing him drive into the Krusty Krab. It's not something you think about often, is it? Squidward in a boatmobile. I'm just used to him walking, or in fact I'm actually more used to him going on a bike or something. In fact, the only time I can even recall Squid driving a car is in that one hilarious moment where he perishes in that contraption. Regardless, it gives us a chance to see his awesome bumper sticker. This is the first shot of Sponge in this episode, and I never actually noticed this before, but when he slides across the window in order to follow Squid, you can actually see a clean trail left by Sponge. Almost like he is wiping the window clean because he is in fact a sponge. I might not have noticed this because my TV wasn't good enough to pick it up back in the day, but now I can see it in all its glory. Also, something that I never noticed before is that front-facing boat that has the cash register in it is missing from this shot. It should be right here, but it's not. Now let me just set something straight. I never want to just be pointing out animation errors constantly. That's not really the point of why I'm doing this. You know that I'm not here to go, oh, shame on these underpaid Korean animators for not noticing that Mr. Krabs has no feet in this one shot during the incredibly tight and demanding TV animation production cycle. Cause then I would be a jerk. But sometimes it's fun just to point out little mistakes, because mistakes are what makes us human, and they can be quite interesting sometimes. This episode, and especially the first act of it, is a goldmine for drawings of Squid looking depressed. So many great miserable expressions on a character that we're pretty used to seeing grumpy anyway. Meanwhile, Sponge, and especially Mr. Krabs, couldn't be more cheerful. When Krabs enters the scene, there's a nice big smear frame to give some emphasis to his movement. Smear frames, for those who don't know, are a form of in-between drawing that is used to sort of simulate like a motion blur effect when characters are moving around. Usually this is achieved by drawing multiple of the same subject at different points, or stretching them out and making them really big. You remember Sonic's run cycle from the Genesis games, where his shoes go all stretchy and shit? That's a form of a smear frame. Smear frames, when used right, are awesome, and I love them. That being said, this one of Krabs is super tame. You just sort of get some duplication with his eyes and lines which show where his eyes were previously. No doubt we will see much more crazy smear frames down the road. I love how Krabs looks when Squid starts talking back to him. He looks downright horrified. Such a weird expression for him. On the subject of the sweater that SpongeBob gives Squidward, it's subtle, but I always thought that the way that the sweater is drawn is so good. Every time it moves, you can see it falling apart. Like, there's never a moment where hair isn't falling out of it. You can really feel how uncomfortable it would be to wear just by looking at it. Also, just look at this thing. Like, Like, this is the most deranged piece of clothing you could ever give someone. Squid's face after seeing it is hilarious. Also notice how the I is colored like SpongeBob and the U is colored like Squidward. That's really cute. Sponge's little face here is adorable, and I love the way he delivers the line, "Do you love it?" Also, look at this one frame of Sponge. Looks like he's grabbing his weenie. Whoever decided on the eyelashes gag, they deserve a raise. This was probably the funniest thing in the world when I was a kid. Like, every time this episode was on, I would be excited for this moment just because it made me laugh so much. The way they've drawn SpongeBob here is ridiculous. Like, look at how small his arms are. Like, anytime his arms shrink like that, it makes me laugh. And I should point out the obvious. Even though SpongeBob says it was made out of his eyelashes, for some reason his eyebrows are missing. You can just see that they've been shaved off quite recently. Which is bizarre because, like, SpongeBob doesn't even have eyebrows to begin with. It's like he grew them so he could shave them off specifically for this. The drawing immediately following this one is almost making me laugh more. Now you can see the world around him, Sponge looks even more ridiculous. Ew, front-facing Mr. Krabs looks so weird. It's very normal to see Squid or Sponge facing forwards for a long period of time, but Krabs less so. Only really during in-betweens. This one in particular creeps me out too. He looks like one of those carnival clown doll things which you have to knock down by throwing balls at them. You know the ones. We're introduced to the pirates who give Squid the pie bomb here, and I've never even noticed that the pirate ship is actually on tiny wheels. I guess that means it's technically a boatmobile? Like a really big one? Like the equivalent to, you know, like a truck or something? I love the faraway drawings of Squid moving into frame here. He looks so joyous when you take away some of his detail. I mean, I enjoy how they've drawn Squidward in this entire scene. The animators captured that feeling of a depressed introvert who has to actually interact with a stranger and force themselves to seem normal. Squid's whole demeanor here is perfectly fake. I'm always thinking about his weird, awkward smile in this scene. The pirates were made specifically for this episode and this scene. The captain in particular is referred to on the SpongeBob wiki as Captain Cruel, but as far as the scripts and storyboards for this episode go, he is simply referred to as Pirate Captain. Apparently, the only time that he's ever been referred to as Captain Cruel is in the book SpongeBob SquarePants Mysteries: Find a Missing Star. What a useful piece of information. The Pirate Captain is voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who you probably know from literally any cartoon you've ever seen in your life. He has voiced various SpongeBob side characters, as well as extras in many episodes. A bomb factory. They're bombs. God, this frame of Squid when he gets rejected is so tough. I'm gonna draw him in some designer. I've never noticed that when Squid purchases the pie, or should I say the bomb, from the pirate captain actually turns towards the ship and is laughing, obviously at the quick buck he's made off of the clueless Squid. It just happened so quickly that I never noticed his expression. Krabs, of course, drops the piece of pie in the most ridiculous way, and the Krusty Krab explodes. I gotta talk about this explosion. This is my favorite shot in the entire episode. Krabs and Squid being launched out of the Krusty Krab as the back of it is obliterated by this explosion. There is something so raw about it. Like, it's not really too cartoonish. Squid and Krabs don't flail around, with big goofy expressions on their faces. They are just propelled backwards by the sheer force of that bomb. There are even two boatmobiles behind the Krusty Krab, purely so they can be launched too, and add to the destruction. Hang on a second, is that Squid's car behind being launched? I cross-referenced it, and yeah, that is Squidward's car being destroyed by the bombing. God, just when you thought that his day couldn't get any worse, now he has to ring his insurance provider. Is there even boatmobile insurance in SpongeBob? Who knows? There's one frame that you won't even notice of just the back of the Krusty Krab bulging out milliseconds before bursting. And yeah, the explosion has impact frames. If you don't really know what impact frames are, it's quite a commonly used technique in animes before like an explosion or a big powerful move like a laser or something, really just to show like emphasis, also demonstrating just like very intense flashes of light. A lot of the impact frames from this episode are pretty much just the regular frame, but with a negative filter applied to it, but there are variations that you'll see. The negative filter in particular makes you feel like I'm watching a creepypasta. When crabs and squid land, you get one of my favorite lines from the episode.
So, you try to kill me over a little new age management, eh?
Like the way he delivers it, he barely even sounds like mad that Squid would just try to blow up the building. He's just a bit insulted, really. Also, why the hell was there a carton of milk just sitting on a random barrel there in his office? Even though it's a very short moment, I really like how Krabs is animated in this one shot, and especially the expressions on his and Squid's faces when they look at the Krusty Krab in horror. Once they return to what remains of Krabs' office, you can actually see that the force of the explosion must have opened the safe containing the secret formula too. Don't tell Plankton. Goddamn, this is one of the goofiest drawings of Squid I've ever seen in my life, and there's so much empty space in this shot too, above his head. I will admit, in the episode when you're watching it, it does look kinda strange, but in isolation, I actually really like this image a lot. Any excuse to see more of the lovely SpongeBob skyline. It feels like they intentionally made SpongeBob extra cute in this episode just to add to the dramatic irony of him being hours away from exploding. The way he skips out of Krabs' office with his arms flailing just makes Squidward's situation all the more tragic and funny. This is one of the best concepts for an episode in my opinion. It's kind of messed up, you know, SpongeBob is going to perish, but it's not really that dramatic, you know, it's still a comedy, it's still SpongeBob. But when I was a kid, I was like, oh my god, that's some real stakes, you know, SpongeBob's gonna die! And that gives the rest of the episode such a unique vibe that I can't really attribute to any other episode. Squidward trying to make up for his mistake and giving Sponge the best day ever, knowing that he's gonna perish when the sun sets. This is what I always loved about the Squidward character in early SpongeBob. Yes, he was grumpy, and yes, SpongeBob annoyed him, but he was always someone who recognized when he had gone too far, and he actually tried to right his wrongs. The hypothetical situation of SpongeBob exploding as he gives the customer his food is really funny. And of course there is more impact frames, but I'm more interested in this guy. Is that hair? Like 3 little strands of hair? Is he balding? This character is Incidental 37B, also known sometimes as Morty? What is an incidental? In your average SpongeBob episode, you're going to see many background fish that all have distinct designs and pop up in various different places and roles. Due to the nature of them sort of just being extras in the episode, these fish are simply called incidentals. For example, the iconic fish that yells, "My leg!" is incidental number 1. There are over approximately 300 incidentals across SpongeBob's history, and when I look through the list of all of them, it is crazy how many of them that I can recall specific episodes and jokes for. Some incidentals are used many times, and some are merely for one episode. Who's your favorite incidental? I've always loved 24 and 11, but my favorite's always going to be Incidental 40, commonly referred to as Harold. Now, this is crazy. This scene contains not just one, but 2 meme screenshots. First, the one of Krabs and Squid looking at SpongeBob through the window, and secondly, Squidward screaming about SpongeBob drowning in fun. This one you would often see with captions back in the day like, "Nobody cares." I'm sure I had this saved to many a desktop computer. Interestingly, the "how do we tell him" meme, which is probably the one that you see more often nowadays, would have you think that Krabs is the one that says the line because he's got his mouth open in the commonly used screenshot. Yet in this episode, it is actually Squidward who says that particular line. Why am I so lonely? Anyway, once again, we get some great uncomfortable Squidward action, really strange facial expressions for when he is talking to SpongeBob about doing whatever he wants. We also get some more smear frames when SpongeBob gets all excited. I love this particular one because he sort of looks like a weird creepy bug monster. Squid's face when he sees how long SpongeBob's list really cracks me up. And when Sponge and Squid leave the Krusty Krab, that is Mr. Krabs putting up the original Help Wanted sign that can be seen in the first episode of SpongeBob, Help Wanted. Though it does look different from how it did in that episode, was a lot less stylized in the pilot. Perhaps somewhere between these episodes, Krabs developed an interest in typography. Ooh, look at those smear frames. And I never noticed the Sponge does a little hop to Squid's level so he can point out something on the top of the list. See what I mean? Like, he's just extra cute in this episode. You know, to a degree that I've never seen before. It's episodes like this that make people say that they have maternal urges towards SpongeBob. When Sponge is showing Squid to everyone in town, Squid's face here fucking kills me. Here it is in storyboard form too. And look at this goofy little one from when the kids are about to throw a rock at him. When has Squidward ever looked like this? Speaking of Squid looking strange, this one, this little in-between, looks so weird.
His head is bloody huge.
When Sponge is introducing Squid to everyone in town, they encounter Incidental 42, and Squidward already knows him and says, "Hey Frank." I most often associate this fish with the "this is a load of barnacles" line from Pre-Hibernation Week. I love this particular drawing of SpongeBob. I'm sure we could make a new meme out of this, right guys? Come on, let's make this go viral. If we look at the storyboard for this episode, we can actually see that there might be a deleted moment from this scene. It shows SpongeBob and Squidward waving at an office worker from her window. This probably was just an idea and was likely cut for time, but when looking at some of the backgrounds for this episode, I actually found one that perfectly matches with this deleted scene. It's that same office room and it's fully detailed, so it makes you wonder, did they animate this whole scene and just cut it from the episode? Or did they get halfway through and scrap it? Who really knows? SpongeBob introduces Squid to everyone in Bikini Bottom, but this time he does it in a salmon suit. When I was a kid, I'd never seen like a real life salmon, one that's still alive, so I didn't think anything of Squidward's costume here, but now that I'm grown, I have never seen a salmon that looks like this. Maybe out there is a type of salmon that is completely peach / pink, but I've never seen it. This is the closest thing I can find, and it's still not quite there compared to what we see Squidward wearing in this scene. Also, why would you even be able to buy a salmon costume in Bikini Bottom? Everyone there is a fish. Wouldn't it be kind of weird? Is Squid being racially insensitive right now? Something to think about. Also, look at this little goofy drawing of SpongeBob. Let's list everything that is on SpongeBob's big to-do list. Everything that we can see, anyway. Show Squidward to everyone in town. Show Squidward to everyone in town in a salmon suit. Knock knock jokes. This one just says throw, but we can't see the rest of it. But do you think it says throw rocks at Squidward? I mean, that's what the kids just did to him. And Sponge didn't look particularly upset about it. Did he want this to happen? Is Sponge the bad guy? Just a theory. One of them just says giggle, looking like, thumb puppets, reverse friends, imagination. This one might say all you can eat buffet or something like that. And this one might say read a story, which is really sweet. We also know that babble like an idiot is somewhere on this list, as Sponge does mention it later in the episode. Okay, this one says act like app. Now, I've always assumed that this says act like apes, but it directly follows this moment in which Squid and Sponge are doing, whatever the hell this is. Have you ever seen an ape act like this? Trade faces, peel a go-go, juggling, and open heart surgery, which, on top of being one of the funniest gags in the whole episode, is notable for being one of the only times I can think of where actual blood is shown on an episode of SpongeBob. It is definitely the first time that this ever happens. And as a kid, this cracked me up, and it still does now. Like, why did SpongeBob want to do this? Interestingly, open heart surgery is first shown towards the very top of the list. However, once it comes time to actually do it and check it off, it is way further down the list. Pretty pointless detail, but I thought I'd mention it. I always found it funny that Squid's bandage after the open heart surgery goes over his shirt instead of under it. I just want to say, look at those colors in the background. Those peachy, pinky tones are so nice to look at. And off topic, but there's a lot of urchins in this shot too. I never noticed that until now. And speaking of color palettes, I could talk about this shot all day. Something about Bikini Bottom at sunset is just so beautiful. It's not often that you get to see it really. Just take a moment and look at this for a second. I mean, God, just look at this painting. The colors they used are so good, and look, they're SpongeBob and Patrick colors. The sand especially just looks amazing. Just look at that blue. What a nice color. Or is it a purple? Or indigo? I think it's blue. SpongeBob's painted backgrounds have always been a highlight of the show's art for me. Even though by this point, SpongeBob was already doing digital animation for the characters, a lot of the backgrounds are still hand-painted, and that's something I appreciate about the show even now. It just wouldn't be the same without it. Now here's something strange. I remember this brick wall having a little black concrete slab at the top of it. You know, like you see on someone's front wall. But I watched the episode, and it was just bricks. Nothing else on top of it. And I was like, damn, why did I think that? That's a very specific thing to think, for no reason. But then, I was looking at the painted backgrounds for this episode, and what do I see? The brick wall, with a black panel on top of it. So what's going on here? Has this been edited out of the episode? Was it ever there? I only saw the full painting today, so how the hell could I have confused this episode with the painting when I was 5 years old? Hopefully one day I can get to the bottom of this, but for now, I'm left in the dark. This frame of SpongeBob is so relaxing. He's chilling the fuck out, you know? I know with season 2 onwards, they were doing it pretty much digitally and weren't working with cell animation, but even just a picture of this, or like a recreated painting, I would get it framed. And the cut to reveal the brick wall that Squid has built between them is hilarious. Something I never noticed before was Sponge, only for a second or two, goes from his more wavy and messy sponge shape to a more solid block, and then reverts back after that's over. I don't know how I've never noticed this before, but I really like it, because it's a good way of showing that he's tensing up over something, though I will admit it looks very strange when isolated to a single frame. And wow, just look at this picture of Squid. He's on the verge of tears at Sponge's impending demise. Just a beautiful drawing. But then look at this one. Ew, he looks gross. Throughout this whole conversation, we get some great drawings of Squid looking miserable and just full of dread. But my focus is on Sponge here. This particular drawing of Sponge may be my favorite in the whole show. This is like the essence of SpongeBob summed up in one picture. His expression is joyous and a little goofy, especially with his eyes crossing into the middle. His arms and legs are poking straight out like he's really excited for something. It just makes me really happy to look at. As Squidward is counting down the sunset, the other side of the wall explodes, and in comparison to the Krusty Krab bombing, this is obviously much more goofy and much more over the top, but I think it really works here. This is a really emotional moment for Squidward, and it's really funny just seeing it be undercut by this big goofy explosion where he flails his arms around. And of course the impact frames are pretty crazy too. This one in particular looks kinda badass. But of course Sponge didn't explode, he was just blowing bomb-shaped bubbles. After this, Sponge shows Squidward his friendship book, and this is adorable. The fact he has one for him and Squidward, as well as the way it looks, is so cute. Also, Squid's expression here is awesome. Kinda looks like he's looking at me. Tons of great facial expressions and body movements when Squid is having his crash out. The last one is particularly deranged, and here it is in pencil drawing form taken directly from the storyboard. But even with how crazy it looks, it doesn't feel too over the top. We get this really weird in-between where he kinda looks like he's smiling. And when he points directly at Sponge, we see again that trick of making Sponge into more of a block shape with smooth sides, as well as his eyes sinking into his head. Really messed up drawing when you just pause it and look at it. Obviously SpongeBob never ate the pie, and he reveals it to Squidward. I love that SpongeBob and Krabs trip over in the exact same campy little way. What a full circle moment. The rock that Sponge trips over actually isn't even there until he trips over it. Like in the shot directly before, it's not actually on the ground. They even had to move Sponge and Squid further away from each other between shots just to allocate enough space. Also, we can see that pie splat in Squidward's face. Just a bit of cartoon silliness for you. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, and 3 days later dropped a second bomb on Nagasaki. The two bombings resulted in the death of 150,000 to 246,000 people. Combined with the Soviets' declaration of war on Japan, the surrender came soon. They even took this photo of the emperor to make him look like a chump. However, President Harry S. Truman, not wanting to fall behind in the ensuing nuclear arms race with the Soviet Union, wanted to see how a nuclear weapon would affect a fleet of ships in the ocean, as opposed to just dry land, and he ordered the military to find a suitable testing site for the detonation of more nuclear bombs. The US decided on Bikini Atoll, located in the Marshall Islands in the Pacific Ocean, as the nuclear testing site for their next bomb. Just under 200 people were actually living on these islands and had to be relocated in order for these tests to take place. Imagine being extracted from your home because the largest power in the world wants to drop nuclear weapons on it. In 1946, Operation Crossroads began, and America dropped 2 nuclear bombs in Bikini Atoll. The first was known as the Able test, and the second was called Baker. If you've ever watched SpongeBob, then you should be very familiar with the Baker test, as it is the exact explosion that we see at the end of Dying for Pi. When I was a kid, I just thought like, wow, this must be some old movie clip or something, or like a much smaller bomb that they used some forced perspective on to make seem bigger. I frankly would have been horrified if I knew that it was an actual nuclear explosion. Like, it's hilarious in the episode because it's so extreme, but it's also quite unsettling. And you did hear me correctly. Bikini Atoll. Remind you of anything? Bikini Bottom, perhaps? The nuclear testing site of Bikini Atoll, and this has been confirmed by Steven Hillenburg, is where SpongeBob and his friends live, just on the sea floor. See that island at the start of every episode? They drop nukes there. This, of course, sparked theories and rumors that the world of SpongeBob is a direct result of the nuclear testing at Bikini Atoll, and all of the fish became mutants because of the radiation and whatnot. Tom Kenny has denied this theory being true. However, Doug Lawrence, the voice of Plankton and a writer for SpongeBob, has actually hinted that this is closer to the truth. It's likely not canon at all, but it is a fun and slightly sinister thing to think about. I like it a whole lot more than that stupid 7 deadly sins theory that was everywhere back in the day when I was young. Anyway, I assume everyone survived this. This is a Squidward episode. SpongeBob feels like more of a plot device as opposed to the protagonist, which he normally is. And that, I think, is a big reason why I'm very fond of this episode. It's a very pure look at SpongeBob from someone else's perspective. And that someone is a guy who, against his wishes, is in the company of Sponge pretty much every day. They work together, they're next door neighbors. Sponge is a constant source of annoyance for Squid, yet he is easily the guy he sees most often, and I think that's a really funny relationship, both in cartoons and in real life. And it's exactly why Squid can carelessly get into a situation where he almost kills SpongeBob. And even though he knows what the right thing to do is, and he feels a deep regret for what he has done, he's still Squidward at the end of the day, so even when he's doing everything SpongeBob wants, he's gonna be the same old asshole. This is a very character-focused episode, very small in terms of scope. Really, the only characters are Squid, Sponge, and Krabs. And if we count all the speaking roles, then it's like, what, 5? The episode isn't too concerned with big, elaborate set pieces. It is about getting the most jokes out of these 3. And they succeeded. This is one of the funniest and most quotable episodes of the 2nd season. In fact, many instances during the production of this video, I had to stop myself from just reciting quotes from the episode. 11 times, as a matter of fact. Part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because, I mean, who am I kidding? I love SpongeBob, and I could talk about the first 3 seasons all day. but more so is the fact that I love cartoons, and animation as a whole. It is still the greatest storytelling medium that we have. And putting it under a microscope like this, I want to show the intention behind every frame. Animation is great because you have to make every little decision in order to create the world that you want to show and tell your story. You can't cheat real animation. And I know, okay, SpongeBob SquarePants is not exactly the most technically impressive cartoon ever made. I know Don Bluth wasn't doing these episodes, but animation doesn't have to be super intricate to be impressive to watch. It just needs to be appropriate for the story. So I would really like to do more of these. Definitely more SpongeBob, but also other cartoons and shows as well. If there is any you'd like to see, then please leave a suggestion.
I farted, man.